Hey there, everybody. My name's Chris. This is a little talk about FM, a little extra video, and um, really response to this question from Philly because it's one I can't answer succinctly or properly just in the comment section. So I did type as much a response as I could in the comments. As you can see, I've just finished typing it like maybe a minute ago or so. It hasn't updated the time, but yeah, Philly, good friend of the channel. Always been supportive. Really appreciate it. And always has some insightful questions. I know Everton fan and has bit to say about me taking Barry on loan and other little bits and pieces for Football Manager. Also a big support and someone who I've lent on for some starters orders knowledge as well because they know the jumps game a lot more than me. And on and off, I've known Philly for quite some time. So I trust their opinion and enjoy this kind of back and forth. And this is what I want with my community. I want everybody to get to the point where they feel comfortable asking as many questions, no matter how dumb, challenging my opinion, calling me wrong, just whatever it does not matter. No matter what you think about it, just let me know and we'll talk about it. That's kind of what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you the best way to do things, and if I'm not actually teaching you the best way to do things, tell me. And let's figure out a better way, and we can teach everybody a better way to play Football Manager, to play Starters Orders, to play Out the Park Baseball, to play Franchise Hockey Manager, to play Crusader Kings, to play Europa Universalis, to play whatever else, Madden, EAFC, etc. All these games that I've played over time. Like, yeah, let's do it. To play Project Zomboid, I'm still trying to learn that one. That one's a bit more difficult for me. But to play those games, and like learn some of the secrets, learn how they work, learn how to gamify them, learn how to simplify them, learn which bits you can actually concentrate on and ignore the others and still get through. And so, a very interesting question to me is, from Phil was, does it ever get to a point where your formation is no longer as effective due to other teams and managers adapting? And the answer is yes and no. Like, is the game that clever? Yes and no. Just wonder whether there comes any point where you're forced to change your tactics and formation. Yes and no. And this is why it's such a lovely question. Because it's something that people have asked for a long time and it's been answered, not by the game makers, but by the community. There's been plenty of tests and everything else, and for a long time, the answer's really been no, but. And I'll sort of start there. It's no because they don't. And really, I can run this tactic with minimal changes throughout an entire season, throughout 10 seasons, from non-league football all the way to a champions winning team and minimize so much of what the AI can adapt to. Um, and I do to a certain extent because I do play this, and you can see my answer just goes on for like 3 times this length and everything else. But I'm going to kick out of that into the game. There's no spoilers. Um, it's still early in the season. Apart from that, you can't really tell too much. I'm happy with that. I've gone and put in a bunch of my youngest kids from the current save um, that aren't going to give any spoilers as to who's in the team, who's out the team, etc., etc. I'm very cognizant that I am ahead of recordings by a decent amount of videos and possibly by an entire season or more. I don't know. My head went bang, had a breakdown, and voila. So yeah, I just sort of sunk into the game and just kept recording and kept playing for like 2 days. So I am a bit ahead. And I apologize that because a lot of feedback on the series then would get missed. But it's what happened, it's what had to happen. So put that to the side. That's fine. But I don't want to spoil things, so this is how I'm doing it. But this is my formation. These roles and these positions have not changed once in this save. That's a lie. I'll come on to the exceptions. But by and large, they haven't. One big thing that has happened early on wasn't anything to do with the AI. It was more about how we played. And that change was I went from fullbacks on support to wingbacks on support. And because I did that and I pushed further, I had my sweeper keeper on support. I went down to defend. Minor changes, to be honest with you. All it really did was give more attacking threat out of my wingbacks. That was it. This change doesn't really do much. But the reason I like it, and if I copy it here so I can mess with it, what I really like about my tactic is you look at this and you see it's a narrow tactic, right? It's a 4-1-3-2 narrow, so it's kind of defensive. You got that set midfielder. You've got a tight midfield three, and it's narrow. But the roles don't make it narrow, so we sit in the half spaces. This Mezzala will sit here. A winger would be out wide. You know, a very attacking sort of wide player would be up here. Inside forwards can cut in and blah, blah, blah. But this player's kind of going to sit and operate in this area. That's where I want him. I want this guy in attacks to be here. I want this guy to be here, just in this little half space in between the centre-backs and the full-backs. This guy can step up and support, but really what he's doing, as much as he's supporting up and down, he's roaming side to side. This is his space. But really, he can go anywhere in here and follow the player on and be that outlet and be that pass back, because you've got these two up. One striker, they're supposed to both go out wide, so they'll probably just come out towards sort of the edges of the 18-yard box and find space. They'll come short if they need to help play in between the Mezzala and the wing back. They'll be fine. But those strikers are moving out wide, but they don't have to. They've got a little bit more freedom. They can come in. Morris here, for example, could come out wide and offer short. Farley then could just come back into the centre even more and even drop deeper if he wants to. It's wherever the space is, they go. But I'm worrying defenders. Who's picking up who at any one time can change. But I'm making them make that decision. I'm making them alter their formation. And it can help just in those balances of play in and around the box, tight areas. The wing-back's going to go all the way. They might, if we're playing out from the back, they might come up to halfway. There'll be an interchange of passes, but at some point you'll watch them, and either with or without the ball, they'll start to creep. If it's without the ball, they'll probably get here and just offer that kind of lateral from the Mezzala, remember, is sitting in this space. They might be a little bit behind and out wide and just back, and if they need to, they can turn back and they can play it to the back three. Why back three? We've got a half-back. He's going to sit. He's going to sit. These two are going to come out wide. You see a lot of teams do this. Man City do it a lot. If you watch Liverpool versus Arsenal, you saw for a decent amount of time when Liverpool were in possession and Gravenberch wasn't pushing up, he was dropping in deep and you had Van Dijk and Konate going out wide. And that's what Konate is really good at, is stepping into the half space. So I've got my centre-backs in half space because my half-backs dropping deep. I got my Mezzalas in a half space further up the pitch as sort of the creators, but also for these little triangles. Because if he's in this half space and this guy's up here, we're going to have a little triangle here. We're going to have another triangle on this side. Working back, if Owen's up there, you can also have a triangle in between these two, and a triangle in between these two, and a triangle between the three centre mids. So it all kind of works depending where the ball is. But it's false width. This is what I call this tactic, because there is no width in this lineup, apart from the fullbacks. They do the heavy lifting. They get absolutely knackered. But my false width is two Mezzalas who do come up and try and affect the play. The strikers that are pulling defenders up. We've got false width. We just don't have anyone truly out wide. to make this work, I do play with as much attacking width as I can. Now, this is going to change. You can see here wide, but it's going to mean different things. The more attacking we go, it's not really shown, but actually the wider these roles become. Because those supporting wing backs, because we're playing more attacking, are actually going to get even further forward and offer more width. My attacking Mazzalas are going to have a little bit more impetus to go out wide, and that passage of play is going to come up wide. Those strikers are going to get on the ball a lot more, and they're going to go a little bit wider because of that. So really, the more attacking I go, the more width I create. And you can do even more of that. Like, I could just set up this way. And I have in the past. You know, we funnel it to our fullbacks and just let them beat their man and put a ball in the box. Why would that work? Well, let's say that happens. He goes up here and crosses the ball in. It gets cleared. Let's say it's not a very good clearance. Well, if it's anywhere in this sort of area, this third of attacking midfield, Davis has got it. If it's anything in this middle, Owen is there. If it's anywhere in this attacking third, Krungsuk's got it. If it's a bit better than that, then my halfback can get released and push up. And he can kind of get the midfield extra balls. Or challenge someone there that is there to get it from the opposition team. If it's even longer than that, then it's just direct route one. But it's over this side, well, yeah, this centre-back's now in the half space. And he's picking up anything on this flank, and he's picking up anything on this flank, and the halfback can sit and soak up what's in the middle. And depending where it is, they can all shift and cover, and they can move. And when we attack at times, it's almost like that's your formation. And that's not bad, because really, I would say, on the ball, these guys are actually more like wingers. So in attack, that is your formation. Just when they get the ball, they're told to dribble it out wide. But also remember that this could very easily be shifted off center. Could be dropping in, could be dropping wide. Any given passage of play, because they're the ones with the most freedom. And so you've got all this false width in the team. Now, this is how we're built. And I'm sure that some of you have ways to beat this. And it's not that difficult to figure out. And the reason why in my other video I talked about how Arsenal's game plan to beat Liverpool was counterintuitive is because the way you beat Liverpool is the way you beat this team. You know, it just is. You played on the flanks. You play fast and hard on the flanks. You don't mess about. You don't look to cut the ball back. You don't work on inside. You go down the flanks. You bomb on. You put an early ball into the box. And you fight for the scraps. If Liverpool are hitting you hard, you can counter-attack them with one quick player up top. And they can be very vulnerable with set pieces. Okay, so yeah, you double up on the wings with us, or you play a back five, so their wing back is in space, probably behind the Mezzala who's pushed up on a counter. You're one-on-one, full-back on full-back, or wing-back on wing-back. If you beat that wing-back, you're taking a central defender out to cover. Like, things get really shaky at the back for me. A lot of teams in FM don't really play that way. A lot of teams in real life don't play that way. And the ones that do are the ones that really scare the big teams. And I don't know why too many teams are kind of sold on this play out from the back rubbish. Because, no, you don't have the facilities for that, big man. It it ain't going to work the way you think it's going to work. You don't have the ball playing defenders. You don't have the speedy fullbacks. You don't have the creative midfielders that'll thread the pass you need, and you don't have the clinical finishers or wingers to like end it properly. You're not going to be able to play Man City style of football and be successful without Man City's quality of players. Proven last season, especially by Southampton. Last season, even more especially by Man City. Their defense is aging. They lost Kyle Walker. A couple of players had poor seasons. Rodri wasn't there. De Bruyne's a shadow of himself. David Silva's not the threat he was, etc., etc. Man City didn't have Man City caliber players for the way they wanted to play, and they couldn't get it working. Shadows of their former selves look better towards the end of the season. Sure, start this season still looks really shaky. They need time. They need to rebuild. Every team does. It's no shame. They've been great. They've done what they've done in such a fantastic way. But you need those players to play that way. And you need them to be rigid and robot-like, which is why Grealish didn't like his time there. Again, not a bad thing. In past FMs, I've done that myself. Boom. Be more disciplined. No. Don't do what you want to do. I'm going to tell you in every situation what you're going to do, and then you just do those in those situations. I've done that. Nothing wrong with it. If you've got the right players for it. A lot of teams don't. So I think it's very interesting how teams are just kind of sold on this because Man City have been so great without realizing like they had a top 3 goalkeeper in the world for the majority of that. And they probably had 4 of the best ball playing centre backs. Sometimes all playing. Who were all like 6'2" to 6'4". All were very muscular but still speedy and highly intelligent players. Like it's all built off that. And then you've got 1 or 2 creative geniuses in midfield, maybe 3, if you include the young Phil Foden before he's kind of fallen off a little bit and been a little more constrained. But like the creativity and the drive and the passion we saw from early Phil Foden with the Bernardo Silva, just technically amazing. And the kind of vision and passing ability to unlock any defense of KDB. And it doesn't really matter who you've got up front, but it really does help if it's Aguero or a Tevez, or even more so when it's a Haaland, because he doesn't need to do anything but score, and he's built to just score. He's not built to assist. He's not built to do 1-2s. He's not built for build-up player to go out wide or to drop deep or to chase back. Like, he's built around the box. You're under pressure and he's in your box, you're probably going to get the ball clear in the air. That's what he's there for. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he's quick, but more than anything, he's very, very good at getting the ball out from his feet and just getting a shot off quickly. Quicker than a defender can react. So physically a monster, but also technically and mentally adept enough to get a very quick shot away with power. It's dangerous. It's why he scores as many goals as he does. He's not as involved in the build-up, but he doesn't have to be. And if he had to be, maybe he could do it, maybe he couldn't. But that would kind of negate half of the other players in that Man City attack and midfield, really. So he never has. So I don't think it's a limitation in the game. I think the game is a reflection of reality in that certain tactics are played a lot, and certain styles of play are played a lot, certain formations are played a lot, certain roles are played a lot. But that's the same in real world. Now, is it actually a case of the AI learning and kind of counteracting or predicting what you're going to do? No, it's not. Is it a case of them adapting and having some set points that they can go to? If you're playing a back five, does the game know what is effective against a back five? Yes, it does. Managers have their own tactical scores, and it plays a slight thing in. Their preferences play a slight thing. Everybody's got like 4 tactics, I believe. They've got a preferred or a default tactic. I shouldn't even say tactic. They've got a default formation. They've got an attacking formation. They've got a second. They've got a defensive tactic, and then they've got a second preferred tactic or formation. So they've basically got 4 different formations they can go to. There might be variations of the same one or vastly different, and you can kind of tell that if we look at any manager. I guess any coach would have them. You've got preferred and second preferred, but what they actually have is also an attacking and a defensive. Unless they've taken it out, and I don't know why they would, an attacking and a defensive preference as well. And you can see here they've got their tendencies to do something and not do something. They've got their set piece preferences, how to defend things. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't really see, but if you look in the pre-game editor and if you've played for a long time, or if you've been on the forums in the community or anywhere else for a long time, you kind of we've found out this information, or we've been able to deduce this information in certain ways. So all that being aside, they kind of lean on that, which means they don't adapt very well. But do you have to change? Like, jump into the third part of the question: do you have to change? And that answer is yes, because you will always come up against players that are just too good, situations that don't work for you, and scenarios you can't affect. So, yes, even if you're the best team in the world, I wouldn't suggest you play the exact same way at Crawley Town away as you do against Crawley Town at home. I think there should be subtle differences in your tactics. And for me, that's usually just mentality. I will bounce around mentality game to game. I will bounce around mentality during games. You've seen the live comms, you've watched how I do it. And I do think that FM boils down to 3 things. Once you have a good tactic with good enough players, not the best tactic, not the best players, good enough tactic, good enough players, it becomes 3 things to manage. Number 1, you're managing your players' fitness levels. Keep your players fit, gonna have a good time. Number 2, morale management. Keep your players happy, you're gonna have a good time. And third, and the more hands-on one, and dynamic one, and maybe difficult one, is mentality management. In every game, if you're sitting at one mentality for the entire 90 minutes, either you've got a game-breaking tactic, you've got players that are far away better than the other team, or you just selected the exact right mentality and the game didn't adapt to it. That can happen. But really, teams don't work that way. And I don't manage my teams that way, so I'm messing with my mentality. If I'm up against Man City away at the Etihad, and I know I need a result, even with a bad team, let's say you need to win by 2 clear goals, at Anfield, at the Emirates, or at the Etihad. And you've got no right to. You've got a couple of injuries, fatigued players, morale's in the absolute bin. If you don't win by 2 clear goals, you're going down. I'm probably going to open up that game on cautious. Because I'm going to sit back a little bit. I don't want to sit back on defensive and invite the pressure, or very defensive and just let those big teams come and kill me. I can't do it. It may be effective, it may not. I can't do it. But I can sit on cautious and give them a little bit of a fight and a little bit of a chance of us going forward. A little threat of a counter maybe. But by and large, we're going to sit there and we're going to soak for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to see how much possession the opposition has in that 10 minutes. What their XG looks like. How many shots they've had. How many shots on target they've had. How many fouls they've committed. How many corners they've won. All the stuff you would see in my skin anyway, in the top left-hand corner as a match is progressing. I can also see how my team's doing in those same metrics. Am I committing too many fouls? Am I getting any shots off? Is it super one-sided? Is it even? Have there been any highlights? Who for? How did my team look in a defensive situation, in a transitional situation, in an attacking situation, in a positive set piece or defending set pieces? Like, you'll get a lot of information and you can adjust your mentality to suit that. And let's say it's a fairly even game and City are kind of just eating up possession and playing out. Well, cool. I want to attack. But what do I do? If they're just sitting on defensive and I go to attacking, they win. That is a good mentality match for them. If I go to positive and they're actually sitting on counter like I've been, and that's why, because both teams playing a slightly defensive mentality, and that's why there's been no highlights, and I go positive, that's 50-50-ish. I would always favor the defensive more, but ultimately, I don't mind that matchup, so positive's kind of safe in that. If they're unbalanced, positive's good, attacking's really good. If they're very defensive, then balanced or positive would be probably very good for me because they're not offering much threat on the counter. So as they move through whatever mentality they're on, I'm trying to find something that I like in response. But I do think for that, say, 10th minute, or let's say 12th minute through the 17th minute, somewhere around there, 12 to 18 minutes on the clock, in a must-win game, against a Man City side that's being good but not great, is putting on a little bit of pressure, but really is controlling the game, kind of like Arsenal and Liverpool were doing to one another, especially Arsenal are doing to Liverpool in their recent game. I'm going very attacking. For 5-6 minutes, I'm going very attacking. We're not changing personnel, we're not changing roles, we're not changing duties, we're not changing formation, we're not changing player instructions, we're not changing team instructions. I'm just playing with a mentality. I'm going very attacking. I'm not telling my boys, yeah, no, for 6 minutes, go give them hell. Just run at them. Throw that ball in, bodies into that box. Go hell for that. They hit us on the counter and they score, then that's fine. Because I know if we both just sit on a defensive mentality, it's probably going to come down to the players on the pitch. And if I need to win to avoid relegation, and I'm up against a title contender, they've got the better players. Easily. I don't want to leave it down to the players. I want to go win that match. And the way I go win that match is going very attacking and forcing them to go back. Now, the AI is doing this exact same thing to you during matches. You've got to try and figure out from how the stats change, is how I do it, or as you're watching the game play out and different sort of highlights and everything, especially if you play on like extended highlights, you'll get to see a lot of actions and patterns of play and players moving positions and maybe some roles changing. And you can deduce a lot from it. But ultimately, playing on key, playing very fast like I do, it's literally just based on the stats and the XG graph to dictate roughly how a game is going, and I'll adjust from that. And I find that's good enough. And that's kind of my key for FM. Good enough. Don't let go be the don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Good enough is good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. Strive for perfection, but don't go all or nothing when 80% will get you your result. Don't go to 100 with a chance of it all imploding and you getting nothing. If you can kind of put that effort at about 80% or that risk at 80% and it get you through, or 20% and it get you through. Yeah, not sure if that makes sense, but if it doesn't, have a word in the comments and I'll get back to you on it and maybe explain it in more ways. But don't let perfect or the attempt to be perfect get in the way of being good. Because 99% of the time, good is a great place to be. And especially when you're looking at FM and things, but just in life in general as well. A lot of people go all or nothing. And I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's realistic. But yeah, I think I'm trying to steal a lead. If I can get a goal inside the opening half hour of a game in this scenario, then great. No, if it's going against me, no, I'm reverting or I'm going even more defensive for 5 minutes. I'm trying to sit and soak and trying to like snuff out whatever's gone wrong. Maybe I look really good going forward, but it does seem to break down and they counter. Whoop, yep, no, now I'm on positive. Now we're playing on the front foot, but we're not being gung-ho about it anymore. These adjustments are what I make, and it's what the game makes against you. And I think if you get that goal on very attacking, then yeah, 100%, I'm going back to cautious. And then I'm waiting for 2 to 3 minutes to see what Man City in this example would do. Are they coming at us? Do I need to drop more? Are they coming at us all out attack? Because if they are, I'm probably going to try and positive the counter attack. Counterintuitive, I know, but I'm kind of gambling half the time with my mentality choices. But I think in that way, I probably would go to positive if they're like throwing people forward. Because I know whoever's left is going to be pulled out of position and it's going to be one-on-one. If it's a counter-attack and the impetus is with us and we're already 1-0 up, there's a good chance their mentality may be very attack-minded, but their morale might have taken a hit. Their nerves might start creeping up, and on a counter-attack, being slightly out of position, a whole gathers up. Like, I'd prefer my team than their team in that situation. Now, a team like that, if they are going very attacking against you and you are being even slightly positive, could easily overwhelm you. But in this scenario, I would expect them to easily overwhelm me in most situations. So I'm not going to take that off the table. Let's say we get a half-time with 1-0 up. What are we doing? Well, I'm changing my mentality. I'm coming out second half. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm going defensive. I'm going defensive because they're going to come at this hell for leather and high energy. I don't think they're going to come at this disciplined. I think they're going to be shouted at half-time and they're going to Their morale's going to be up. They're probably going to be more attacking. They're going to try and snatch a goal back early. We're going defensive. Now, if they're balanced, we're screwed. But I don't think that's realistically how you'd expect the team to come out. So I'm going defensive. And after 5 minutes, I'm not going cautious. I'm going to positive. Or, if I'm really feeling funky, it's time to go very attacking again and just let's see how you deal with it. 2, 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes, back to cautious or to positive, and I'm playing around these, mainly these three, very attacking, cautious, positive. Because I know what my team looks like when we're playing these three. Balance is very dependent on what the opponent's doing. Attacking, I mean, a lot of teams, especially when you get good, a lot of teams are going to be sitting on cautious and defensive, and attacking doesn't really match well against them. And so I don't really tend to do that. If I'm going to attack, I'll go very attacking and overwhelm them. They want to sit and invite pressure. Cool, I'm very attacking. I'm going to overwhelm you. Defensive situationally can be used, but it is just inviting pressure on, and I'm very rarely running out like world-class players at the back, so I just don't want pressure. And so I never really use very defensive. And I honestly, unless goal difference is a major concern for some reason, you could beat me by 20 goals or 1. I don't care. To be honest, I prefer you'd beat me by 20 goals because it means there's a bunch of players that have played badly, and I can go tell them that they've played poorly. And by doing that, that's going to improve their morale if they respond in the right way. And I've recruited players with good personalities, so it should. And that comes back to the morale management. Even when I lose, I'm able to criticize bad players. And that improves their morale. Like, yeah, you're right. I was bad. It won't happen again, boss. They go into training. They have a good day training. I praise them. They have bad days training. I criticize them. I give them rest where I can because of the fitness management that we're talking about. But these are the changes that you have to make in any situation. But especially when we talk about part 2 of this. And part 2 brings us back realistically to that first part of the question again. Does it ever get to a point where your formation is no longer as effective due to other teams and managers adapting? Yes, but no. They don't adapt, but they see your team differently. And so they play different tiers of team differently. And again, I would liken it, if you put yourselves in the shoes of a manager, let's say you're a mid-table team. And you're just comfortable in that mid-table. You're going to look at teams that are down the bottom and struggling, and you're going to play them very differently than you would teams up the top chasing the title. You're going to play some home matches differently than away matches against the same opponents. And it's not really about the teams or the players they have or their tactical style. Like, that doesn't really factor into it too much. It's really about league position and, more than anything, club reputation. So when I got promoted to the Premier League, I'm a promoted club. I'm tipped to go down. I don't have any big name players. I don't have any big reputation players. I have a championship squad with a couple of extras that may have some potential to them, but really that's what we have. And so you look at it, and every team's expecting me bottom 3 and fighting and scrapping for points, and even the teams that have come up with me through the playoffs are bigger teams than me in terms of club reputation, even though I won the championship. So I'm the worst reputation team with the worst reputation players and the worst reputation star players. Every team is looking at me thinking, that's 3 points. Home or away, that's 3 points. The two that have come up with me might look at the ground, at the games at my ground and think, that's a draw and we'll beat them at our place. And that's how they're going to treat you, and that's how they're going to play against you. They're going to be more attacking. They're going to try and smother you. They're going to be more possession-based. They're not going to give you respect. They're not going to worry about you on the counter. They're not going to worry about your set pieces. They're not going to worry about anything. You're a minnow in a big lead, in a big league. We're here to feast. And you get about 6 months of that because, well, I say 6 months. You get half a season because the change happens, I believe, in like July, August. And then I think it's July, and then it's like January where the changes happen. Because there's a recalculation behind the scenes where dynamically throughout the year, your club is gaining or losing reputation based on different things, and so are your players, and so are you as a manager. And that all is kind of taken into account for a number of things, but not how other teams play you until you hit one of these 6-month breakpoints. Like I say, I think it's January, and I think it's July. It could be tail end of December to tail end of June. But it's every 6 months. They will recalculate what your standing is, and they will take into account not your preseason prediction, but where you're predicted at that moment. And anybody that has seen one of my series or has played an underdog that overachieves a lot, the preseason prediction is always lower than where we are in the league. Because we're always overachieving. And so teams are always going to treat us as a worse team than we are proving ourselves to be. And since we're a young team, we've got fantastic coaching, and my formation has some built-in remedies to the perceived weaknesses of said formation. And because I'm playing this mentality game as best I can, we eliminate even more of our weaknesses from our players' ability or the formation. So teams are always underestimating us, and I think that's kind of the big point. If you're ever in a situation where FM is consistently underrating you, teams are not going to play you the right way, and you will always be able to take advantage of that if you know how. And this is how you do it. It's the mentality battle. At the halfway point of that first season in the Premier League, I was comfortably in mid-table. I was away from the relegation zone. They're probably going to treat me, instead of like the 12th team in the league, which is roughly, I think, where I might have been, to be instead, the 16th or 17th team in the league. You're no longer ranked 20th, but you're 16th. You're in for a tough season. We got to be a bit wary. Can't just like roll you over, but we're still going to come and play you and just dominate you, right? That doesn't work against a team that's realistically 12th or 8th or 6th. So the more you're overachieving, the more their game plan is completely inadequate. So it does these recalculations every 6 months, but doesn't take enough into account. And I get it, it's tough. And I'm sure FM26 has more evolution in the AI side of things and just better calculations, or more. Even if the calculations are done more often, every 2 months, every month, on the first of every month, it's going to slow the game down. It is. but it's going to be a heck of a lot more realistic, and it's going to stop people from me just never changing my formation. But if you think that's a problem, then ask why Pep's never changed his formation, or Jurgen Klopp never changed his formation, or why other people like David Moyes like their own formations and style of play and have never really changed from it. Why Alex Ferguson never really wanted to change away from a 4-4-2 and at most he went to a 4-3-3. Like, why is Ruben Amorim always wanting to play a back five? Like, he doesn't change his formation. Okay, not a good example. But other people have done it successfully. And I think that's kind of also where the game sits is, yeah, we're not going to force you to do it because managers don't do it. Teams don't do it. And so you kind of are sitting in this, what's the best game mechanic for what's this most realistic mechanic kind of battle that SI go through. And I feel for them because they've always said it's not a game, it's a simulation, which means they really need to put what's realistic out there, which is insanely difficult because AI is not that good. And if it was, it would just be absolutely a nightmare in terms of processing time because it would just be constantly calculating every single variable everywhere and just the game be slow as hell because of that, because the technology's not at that level. But they, that's their hill they wanna die on. That it's a simulation, it's not a game. So they have kind of a bad simulation because there is no way of doing a perfect simulation. And what they've been able to do with the technology available isn't even a good simulation. Whereas it's been a good game for years. And I don't know why that's like a dirty word. It's like wrestling. Why was wrestling a dirty word for the WWE? And it's a sports entertainment. It's not wrestling. It's okay. It's not pro wrestling. I don't get why that's your hill to die on because it's really good at being that thing. And what you're trying to make it, it might not actually be as good at. You're trying to be a sport, and it's not a sport, and everyone knows it's not a sport, and nobody treats it like a sport. So why are you trying to make it a sport? And in FM, it's realism, and we know it's not real. We know it's a game. We know it's not a simulation. It's nowhere close to being that. So why is that the hill to die on? I don't know. But if it is, then I'm going to criticize you every time you fall short for not making it realistic and not having the variables in it. And I think that's fair. You advertise that you're going to do something. When you don't do it, you're going to get criticized. So maybe FM26 will be a lot better and we'll kind of play more into the simulation things. Or maybe it was an engine issue and the port to Unity is going to be a real big step forward. We're going to find out. But all I can talk is all I know. And that's FM24 and all its predecessors because I played them all and I have done for decades. And so we've got, at the moment, this 6-month check, which doesn't even properly evaluate you. So do you have to change your formation? No. Do you have to change your tactics? Yes. There's always going to be situations where you change your tactics. But probably not as in I'm scrapping this tactic and I'm playing it like I've now got to do this in season 2 because teams have figured out how I was playing before. Hell no. Hell no. Like, that's just not even the case. I can't even remember exactly why I had it, but I didn't take the crosses off or anything. Yeah, but yeah, it's like no, like how are you gonna change your tactics season to season? Well, my fullbacks became wingbacks. My sweeper keeper went on defense. My Mazzalas have gone through many iterations, but at times they've been Carraleros. I decided Mazzala was better because I needed more attacking support, and they've gone from from support onto attack. And while these two were on support, my center mid was actually an advanced playmaker on attack or a deep line playmaker on support. Now they've gone to center midfield support. So some of the roles, some of the duties, some of those things. And like I know when I went from Cavallero, one thing I had to do. Who's picking up the fullbacks? It's got to be my Mazzalas. And it sucks if you're playing against a three-man midfield, then they need to be in covering the centre mids. And it frees up the fullbacks. So I'm sending them out to the fullbacks. So the ball's coming down if you imagine the ball coming down the middle, and it goes to one of those midfielders, and my Mazzala has to like step up to kind of go to the player with the ball. And then he plays it out wide to the fullback, who takes a couple touches to bring it forward. And Mazzala's basically running sideways to get out to the fullback. He might not catch him, in which case he's gone. What he's also done is let that midfielder run forward and through, which is a very easy inside ball for the fullback. But I need to do it. I need to do it. So I've got that put in as an instruction. And I didn't have to have that in the championship. I needed to do that in the Premiership. I'm against bigger players, stronger players, faster players, better players. And the fullbacks especially, there's a decent leap in terms of what they can do on the ball. So I needed to prioritize that. In the Championship, if my fullback's getting, battled 2-on-1 and it's drawing my defensive midfielder over, or he sits back and it's drawing my centre back over, it's not that big of a deal because the players that are left open aren't super dangerous. They're good players, they might punish you, but consistently across the year in that league, it's not really going to happen. So I have had to adapt to join the level to play the players I'm playing against. And also, I'm definitely changing a few things. And in one match in particular, which we'll get to in the series, I completely change how I'm playing. I'm saying I don't do this, I don't across the season. But in individual games, when I know, oh, this has gone really badly early on, and we're about to get battered, and I can't, and our season's over if we get battered. Yeah, okay. No, I need to focus down the wings. I need to go route one. We're not getting balls in the box, so let's just smash it. Like, these sort of changes, yeah, I 100% will do. 100% will do. So there's always going to be times and situations. There's always going to be these little things. But does I was going to say, does the game force you to do it? Yes, because the game forces you to do everything and allows you to do everything because it's all done within the game. Does the AI and the opposition tactics and etc. does that force you to make those changes? Not very often. So is the game that clever? The game is astoundingly clever. Is it that clever? No. No game is. No game is. But you will see a drop off of your team's effectiveness if you're playing the same 11 players in the same style of football, the same tactics, same roles, same duties, home and away, every single match across an entire season. You will get to a point, December and January, where the wheels fall off. Not always, but most of the time. And why do those wheels fall off? Because there's been the recalculation behind the scenes, and that has given you an issue that you haven't yet had to deal with. And because of that, you're now fighting to stay alive. and that promotion push has been derailed. Or that relegation scrap has now seen you 2 points adrift. And teams are treating you differently, and what was working now suddenly isn't. And people overreact to it when all you really need to do is change that mentality, maybe an instruction or two, maybe a role at most. But even just the mentality is going to get you 90% of the way there. And that's why I say FM is all about 3 things. Once you've got the basics in play, you're starting 3 things, I will say. Get good staff. Number 1. Mainly because you can offload a lot of your duties to them, especially your assistant manager. But get good staff. Get good players. They don't need to be great players. They need to be good players at what you want to do, which ties into the third, which is build a tactic that plays the way you want to play. Doesn't have to be game breaking, doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to do anything in particular. It just needs to do what you want it to do. I want to have this tight, compact formation where we're inviting people down the wings and they can beat us that way. But I want to bet that I'm better defensively than you attacking me this way. I don't want to have to think about them playing through me. I don't want to have to think about long balls over the top. I don't want to have to watch people dribble past 4 or 5 players. If you're going to beat me, just go down the wings, go really quick, down the wings, cross the ball in and score, or cut inside and score. Like, that's it. That's what I'm looking for. You do that to me, you beat me, that's fine. I fully understand that. I can't defend every single type of attack. I can't defend some attacks at all. What I can do is make sure that we've got so much through the middle, so much players in support of one another, that you can't really hurt me unless you go out wide. And because we're playing for you to be trapped outside and inviting the crosses in, we're forcing you to play a certain way against us. And if you play that way against us, well, we're kind of set up to defend that fairly well. It's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. It's good enough. And in attack, I don't think you can handle us. I don't think you're going to be able to defend the Mizzalas in the half space, your centre-backs being dragged out wide, this midfielder floating about and doing what he wants. You're not going to be able to stop a fullback from just getting half a yard and booting the ball in. He's not trying to beat you. He's not trying skill. He's just running past you and just launching the ball at the first opportunity. On the counters, I don't think I'm that worried with my halfback, 2 defenders either side, and my goalie all on very defensive roles. I'm ready for it. And if they need to, my ball-playing defenders can bring it out, but I've got this little diamond here to stop you from playing, especially when it sort of turns into a back 5. Even defending, these boys are sitting further up, right? You look at the defensive shape, and yeah, there's some holes, but again, that's built in. It's pretty much here. He might even drop more into there in a defensive position. And then when we're counter-attacking, these boys are going up, probably not that wide, but they're going up. He's going right up the center. They're going right up. Pike jumps into midfield. We're probably ending up more like this in a true sustained attack rather than just a pure counter. But again, any balls break down because so many people in areas that ball's going to come to that we're not going to really suffer. So it's not a perfect tactic, and it has its weaknesses, and I accentuated those weaknesses for people to beat me easily because I'm daring them to try it because I think I've got a sneaky good counter on them, and I'm fairly right most of the time. So yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be good enough. I've got variations of these as well. With an advanced playmaker, I've got 4-4-2 wingers, and then I've got 3 based off this, but built around attacks, counters, and possession. But I haven't used them because I haven't needed to. Because what it does really well, and what I do really well, is get things done in a fun way. Like in a really good way. And since this is a formation that I face most of the time, this actually works. And it doesn't, I believe, look like it should. But my formation and tactic is good enough. The players I've got in each role are good enough. And I'm keeping them happy. I'm keeping them fit. And all I really then need to do is play the mentality game during matches to get the right sort of response to what my opponent's doing at any given time. And I think that is something that everybody should learn to do on FM. Will it change in FM 26? We don't know. But yes and no, Phil. Formation, tactics, you do need to tweak, you do need to change, but not really. You'll never get to the point where you need a brand new formation or a brand new tactic because of anything that an opponent has done or the way people set up against you. 90% of that is mentality. You buy different players, you can switch your formation. You want to try playing a different style, switch things up. You want to play differently home and away, you can do. I don't. And it works for me because the tactic's good enough, the players are good enough, they're fit enough, they're happy enough. I'm really happy with what I see in the dynamic screen. 99% of the time I'm in there. Because, like I say, that's the morale management game. You do okay, and you'll do okay. So, no, but yes, but not really. But situationally, and for certain games, and the one game that you will see where, yeah, we're not set up right for that particular opponent in that particular game. We're outmatched in terms of players, we're outmatched in terms of tactics, we're outmatched in terms of momentum, morale, just almost everything we're outmatched in. And after about 20 minutes, I mentioned that I never really do this, but I'm going to have to adjust my tactics just for this opponent. And I do, and you'll see what the outcome of that game is, and maybe, just maybe, what I'm saying now will make more sense. And I don't want to spoil it because I can't, but it is a live column that's upcoming on the series. So, yeah, if you're seeing this and you haven't seen the series, go ahead, check it out, playlist on the channel. But, yeah, any other big questions with FM, how the game works, why I do things a certain way, why do I play narrow? Why don't I play meta tactics? Have I ever played meta tactics? How long have I played for? How do I do my transfers? Like, there's a bunch of questions I've been asked before, but I know there's going to be a lot of people that have never seen or heard of me before that are starting to watch some of these videos. Chuck your questions down in the description and I will attempt to answer as best I can there. And if I can't, I'm happy to do a damn video on it for you and show you, including game footage and everything else. So thank you, Phil. That was a really interesting question, which has distracted me from the deadline day goings on. It's now 25 minutes past the deadline window, and I think a lot of the big deals have been done. I also want you in for a few. I'm going to go and check and see what's on that. And then Liverpool, of course, got their big deals in-ish. They were having medicals, or have had medicals, and agreed terms. So I guess it's where the Newcastle and Crystal Palace finally send the sheets in to ratify the deal to the FA or not. At the end of the day, we're going to see. But yeah, I know there's other big moves. I know certain teams are making massive moves today as well. And I can't remember which team, but somebody had 5 deals on the table today. Was it Fulham? Maybe? I don't know. But there was teams talking about like 5 or 6 deals on like ongoing already on deadline day. And that was just nothing like 4 in and 1 out for some teams. So yeah. Gonna go and figure out what all that was about, and we'll come back to it. But that is tactics in FM. That is FM. That is FM. Why can I beat FM? Because I've boiled it down to simply get good staff, good players, a good tactic. Not the best, again, but just good staff, good players, a good tactic, an idea of how you want to play. And then you manage the morale, the fitness, and the mentality. And that's it. That's why FM's so easy to me. Because 99% of the other stuff does not matter. And that's my hill to die on. I will stand on that. I will say that with chest. And so many people over the years have disagreed with me. And they've tried to prove me wrong. Some of them say they have proved me wrong. But I keep playing the same way and doing the same things and getting the same outrageous levels of successes that I should not be getting for some of the players I have. And ignoring some things that people say are very important. So, I'll remain unconvinced by their arguments. FM, you set 3 things up, and then you manage 3 other things. Want to know more? Let me know. Comment section down below. Like the video if you have found this interesting or insightful. Do come at me. Tell me where I'm wrong. Point everything out. I'm here for it. I really am. But yeah. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. You want to see this and more channel content like the FM save, starters orders, other games that appear sporadically, or even my Status of Football video that just went live. A part 2 will come after deadline day and is fully wrapped up. So probably in a couple of hours I will record that. So subscribe if you want to see all that. Check out the other playlists, like I say, that are on the channels, the memberships that are available. And let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion. And if there's anything about the game or about football or about sports in general that you want to know, or you want to debate, or you want to challenge me on, comments down in the section below, and I will get to you as I can. So, yeah, till next time, thank you very much. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much again, Phil, for the questions. And I will see you next time. Till then, take care, stay safe, all the very best. And I hope your team had a good transfer deadline day and sets themselves up for the season ahead, because I think January can have a big impact, but this window is so key in dictating how the bulk of the season goes. and really set you up well. So I hope your team had a good one. I'm about to go find out if mine have. Come on, Swans, don't let me down. Don't let me down.